like to choose games which sort of have some sort of a fit with HCL. Obviously, a bridge or a chess is it's an intellectual sport. Much of manpower is super intellectual, as you can imagine, or technical manpower. So they do a lot of what I call intellectual work for the customers that they work on. Some of our practices are really, and they really help their customers do better from the intellectual perspective. So therefore, that's an easy fit. The other games that you see are more what I call sporty. It's much more the way, and of course, it's every game requires a huge amount of intellectual power, be it a squash or a tennis, and or whatever that we look at. So we look at it from that perspective. That what we can do, one of course, is to touch people's lives, and two, how much it fits with the brand, and that's how we choose our sports, and that's why it's a mix of both physical and mental. HCL started this tournament in 2003, so it's been about 14 years now. And we started in a small way in a sense because it was a sort of a local tournament that we did. One of our founders, or the founders' wives, is passionate about bridge and she plays at the highest levels, Mrs. Kiranar. So thinking was that let us support this. This is also very aligned to the way HCL is, the game of bridge, and if you talk about the way organizations work and from a competitive environment, there are a lot of similarities, as I'm sure people know. So that was the reason we looked at bridge in 2003. The tournament was on for the last so many years. Its last 2-3 years is when you have actually invested a lot of effort and time and money, of course, behind this event. Our thinking has been that we need to touch people's lives, and we do that from the back end in many organizations. So many of our initiatives today, be it HCL concerts or the other sports initiatives that we do, is sort of part of that entire journey, and the HCL Bridge is an integral part of that journey. Right now, I think our focus has been, and we thought about very carefully, is to ensure that we create a world-class tournament right here. I'm not saying other tournaments are not great, but we want it to be at par with the best, that anybody who comes here, Indian international team, feels that this is done absolutely as well as any tournament, any great tournament that they participate in across the world. And so that has been our endeavor, and it's a journey in that sense. So I think this year we spent a lot of time in thinking about the prize money, of course, thinking about the modalities of getting various players and various top players across the world to come and participate with us. So we have, I believe, 20 odd teams who have come this year, and I think they are the best of the field. That again, I think from a benchmark perspective, you talk about Indian players and people in the country who have many of them who may not have the opportunity to go abroad and play, unlike some of our other more top teams. They get the opportunity to play with some of these players and get the opportunity to see how they play and see their own standards as opposed to these players. So that itself, I think, will add to their thinking, will add to their knowledge about the game, and they should hopefully up the ante of their own performance in times to come. So I think that is one hopefully benefit that we see as we move in this journey of trying to build HCL Bridge for the longer term. I'm sure it can get better, but I'm sure that we will constantly improve that part of it. So one, in terms of the people who are playing; two, in terms of the way we do it here, in terms of the logistics, in terms of the way the tournament is conducted, should all leave an impression among people that this is, at least as far as the country is concerned, the top tournament, and in the times to come, hopefully one of the best in the world. And so that's the aim and vision behind how we are seeing this tournament, and the team is working very hard in ensuring that this will happen as we move forward in time as well. In terms of the technical aspects, in terms of what the games, what I call organizations, BFI in this case, and other people, what they bring to the table is that, of course, their knowledge is much more than ours, and we are in a sense obviously guided by them as to how is it that we can actually build this. So I would not go so far as to say that we will be able to what I call impinge into their territory in a sense, but our job is to ensure that whatever they need from a perspective of technical support or technical or any other support, we are able to provide them and provide what they ask for. We see ourselves as the partner who sort of sets the what I call the environment and the systems to ensure that they are able to deliver a world-class experience for their own players. So that's the way we see our contribution to this effort. Our plans for the future, of course, one, of course, as I mentioned, is a journey. So we constantly want to up our efforts in terms of what we do for this tournament and as we move forward. Then, of course, the other thinking is that maybe we should think of, particularly because HCL has many customers in the United States and in other key Western geographies. Maybe we should do I'm sure they do very great tournament there as well, but maybe we can see whether we can help in some way to create some such tournament, because it will then helps much more from a brand perspective, that people then realize that we are, as the company that works for them, is also in a sense in their geography and doing things for them. So that is something we're thinking about, but it is something we still need to evolve. My current focus is to ensure